Ooh, I wonder. Oh, 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 I wonder. Ooh, I wonder what is to come out of this darkness. Ooh, I wonder. Oh, I wonder. Ooh, I wonder what is to come out of this dark. I've been moving, 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 moving to the darkness. Moving, 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 moving to the dark. Moving, 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 moving to the darkness. I wonder where the light is. When the light in open singing. Ooh, I wonder. Oh, I am filled with wonder. Ooh, I wonder what's to come out of this darkness. I thought this candle had long gone out. I thought this candle had long gone out. I thought this candle had long gone out. But today, I can see there's still a flickering, flickering. Ooh, I wonder. Oh, I am filled with wonder. Ooh, I wonder what is to come out of this darkness. Ooh, oh, yeah, yeah. Burn, 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 burning on the inside. Burn, burning, burning like a bright light. Burn, burning, burning on the inside. This light still burning, burning bright. I thought this candle had long gone out. I thought this candle had long gone out. I thought this candle had long gone out. But today, I can see there's more than a flickering, flickering. Ooh, I wonder. Oh, I am filled with wonder. Ooh, I wonder what is to come out of this darkness.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Denise Gouch. I have the pleasure of serving as this congregation's minister. And okay, I'm just going to keep on. Welcome to this service on this almost summery Sunday morning in April. Our guest speaker this morning is the Reverend Dr. Cynthia Stewart, whom some of you already know. Reverend Cynthia is a Unitarian Universalist community minister here in Nashville. She works for a local prison ministry, helping people leaving incarceration with housing and services. During today's service, we will be combining our monthly theme of awakening and today's proximity to Earth Day by sharing and reflecting on several creation stories from traditions around the world. Having celebrated a memorial service for one of our founding members yesterday, I find that this morning I'm having lots of big feelings, and this is a great service for that because these stories have lots of space for big feelings. So each of these stories has something to teach us about who we are and our place in the world. I hope that you'll enjoy hearing them as much as we all enjoy having Reverend Cynthia here with us this morning. And right now I'd like to ask Reverend Cynthia to light the chalice. And I will read the words from Rumi, the 13th century poet. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. Thank you, Cynthia. Our covenant is the silk that joins our congregation together in a web of interconnection. Please join me in reading it aloud if you are so moved. I think the words are going to come up on the screen. There they are. Let's read that together. We covenant together to make a welcoming community, to walk together in the way of truth and love, to seek the life of the Spirit as it is known by each person, to support each other in thought, word, and deed as we work to build a better world. So, the storytelling begins now. Our first story, and by the way, I want to let you know that Reverend Cynthia collected these stories, chose them for us, and I hope you will like them. The first story comes from the Yoruba religion of Nigeria, and it's a story about how the world was created. I will tell the story, and then Reverend Cynthia will share some reflections. And I believe, Kristen, no young people this morning, right? So we will not pause to dismiss the children, although we will pause to talk about our Share the Plate partner. So back to the Yoruban religion in Nigeria. The chief god, Olorun, rules the sky, and the great goddess, Olukun, rules what is below the sky, and they are content with how things were. But another god, Obatala, looks around and thinks there should be more. So he visits wise Orunmila to ask how to create a world. And following Orunmila's advice, he gathers what he needs: a thin gold chain, a bag that holds a snail shell filled with sand, a white hen, a black cat, and a palm nut. Obatala hangs the chain from a corner of the sky and throws the bag over his shoulder and lowers himself on the chain all the way down to the ground. He takes the snail shell and dumps out the sand, places the white hen upon it. The hen scratches at the sand, and as it scatters, it becomes land masses, hills and valleys. Obatala digs a hole and buries the palm nut, and immediately a palm tree grows. It drops nuts, and as soon as they touch the ground, they too grow, and soon there are groves of palm trees everywhere. Obatala sits down to enjoy his creation with the cat. He makes some wine from the palm trees and continues creating. And in his drunkenness, he calls on Olorun to breathe life into his creations. When he awakens from his drunken stupor, Obatala realizes that he has created and caused to be brought to life beings that will know pain and hatred and fear and death. So he vows to create no more and to be the protector of these creatures forevermore.
Good morning. You just heard Reverend Denise tell the story of Obatala. Obatala speaks to us of creativity and how all good creation begins as intuition. Obatala is driven by a fire within, a sense that there should be more than just the sky and what is below the sky. He knows what is, but he feels the call of what is possible. So he takes just this handful of items, sand, a white hen, a black cat, and a palm nut, and he builds a whole world with them. In his creativity, he does not seek to conquer or even transform everything that he has. Rather, he uses each part according to just what it is. The chicken scratches, the palm nut grows into a palm tree. The wise use of resources recognizes the inherent value of each part as well as in creation overall. Obatala's creativity runs in many directions, including his creation of the palm wine and the ensuing drunkenness. He shows us the danger of not being mindful as we are creating, not mindful of what is brought forth, of the harm that can be inflicted on creation when we build or grow or create without reverence for it. Obatala gives us a way forward from this harm. He acknowledges his role in causing the problem, and then he works to put it right. So on this weekend of Earth Day, let's remember the creativity and the intuition of Obatala, his recognition of the value of each thing, and his role in creating something wrongly, but then his dedication to setting things right.
Our Share the Plate partner for the month of April is the Unitarian Universalist Ministry for Earth. UUME envisions a world in which reverence, gratitude, and care for each other and the living earth are central to the lives of all people. Its mission is to be a wellspring of spiritual and educational grounding and practical support for bold, accountable action for environmental justice, climate justice, and the flourishing of all life. And I think on our slide, there is their website, which is actually really easy. It's uume.org, I think. But I recommend that site if you're interested in these things. They do lots and lots of workshops and have resources and interesting articles and all sorts of things going on almost all the time. Directions for various options for donating are listed on our screen and in your Zoom chat window. As always, we are grateful for your generosity, which we hope will be inspired by your gratitude for GNUU's beautiful natural setting and for the earth as our home. Our second creation tale comes from the Inca people of Peru. In all that exists, there is only stillness, only darkness, until Viracocha arises from Lake Titicaca and he brings light into creation. He creates the sun and moon and stars, and darkness now mingles with light so that both can show their beauty. This creation needs beings to enjoy it, Viracocha says to himself, and he breathes life into the great craggy stones around him. But the stone people are stony and emotionless and cannot enjoy the creation. So Viracocha destroys them and starts over. He takes smaller, smoother stones and breathes life and desire and dreams into these new beings. And when they open their eyes, they look with love upon the creation. When he sees that his work is done, Viracocha walks into the ocean and out of the sight of the humans. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
So Viracocha makes a beautiful world, a world built for enjoyment. The first beings Viracocha had made had a spark of life, but they couldn't recognize the reasons for being alive: love and joy and appreciation. These second, smoother beings, the humans, they came forth with the passion and joy to fill themselves with the beauty of the world around them. In Viracocha's story, we come to understand that just seeing the hills and the stars and the oceans is not enough. Wonder is necessary. Creation was only complete when the beings within it were able to marvel at it. Amazement, awe. If these are not a part of the ways that we interact with the world around us, we find ourselves stony and emotionless, like those first beings that Viracocha created. And we have reason to question what our place within all of this creation is. The world and all that is within it should call forth our delight.
This story comes from Egypt. Darkness and waters and swirling chaos. On the waters floats the great god Adam, alone. Adam begins to sense something he has never felt before. I unmuted. Should I start over, Jesse? Did they hear? They didn't hear. I'm going to start at the beginning of that story again. I'm sorry. We had a Zoom malfunction. That was mine. So this story is from Egypt. Darkness and waters, swirling chaos. On the waters floats the great god Adam, alone. Adam begins to sense something he has never felt before, the need to create. So he causes a hill to emerge from the water, a light, the sun, to rise from behind the hill, and he steps to the top of the hill and shines in the brightness of the sun. He creates his children, Shu, the god of air, and Tefnut, goddess of water, and watches with satisfaction as they begin creating lands and oceans and winds and all of creation. They are so busy whirling about creating that they have no time for their father Adam, and he is sad without them. So he sends his eyes out searching for them. Shu and Tefnut each find one of their father's eyes and come back to him to return it. And when the three are together again, Adam weeps for joy. As his tears of joy touch the ground, they join with earth to form human beings.
I don't know about you all, but I sure would like to be able to send my eyes out independently to go find what I've lost.
For children?
Anything. Yeah. So Adam tells us about the need for relationship. He creates and he brings light and beauty, but it's family that gives him the greatest joy. Adam derives great satisfaction from watching his children, Shu and Tefnut, do what they are called to do, create in ways that only they are able to create. And yet there comes separation in the midst of that relationship. When they are gone too long, when the relationship is strained, he mourns. Don't we mourn when our relationships are strained, when people are gone too long? Haven't we experienced being gone too long? So he seeks out his family, those he loves. And his tears at their reunion mix with the earth to create humans. Well, this tells us that humans are created from joy and connection, that this is what we're built for, and that we do not thrive when we do not have it. Adam shows us that our strength and our power and creativity, these mean nothing if we don't have relationship. We have a relationship with each other, with our families, and also with this earth. We have a relationship with Shu and Tefnut, right? With the winds and the waters. And we have a relationship with all that exists. When we stray from this relationship, we are in peril. But when we recognize it, we have joy and we can bring forth greatness.
We're going to take a musical pause together here in the Teal hymnal, which you should have sitting on a chair somewhere near you. If you would please turn to 1069. Zoom is going to, via YouTube, is going to lead us in the singing, but I invite you, wherever you are, whether you're in the sanctuary or online, to rise in spirit and or body and sing together Ancient Mother.
Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears.
In case you didn't see the note, I want to let you know that's an old Navajo traditional prayer from this continent. The next story is from China. a giant cloud of chaos, all in the shape of an egg. For 18,000 years, Pangu sleeps in the egg of chaos. And when he awakens, the chaos frightens him. He jumps and pushes until he breaks the egg in two. Wanting to stop the chaos, he pushes one of the eggshell pieces up and it becomes the sky, the yang. The other half he pushes down and it becomes the earth, the yin. Worried that chaos might take hold again, Pangu holds the earth and sky apart for another 18,000 years until eventually he dies. Pangu's great body falls to the earth and becomes part of it. His arms and legs become mountains, his breath becomes the wind, his blood becomes the rivers, and his sweat the rain. His voice becomes the thunder. His eyes move into the sky and become the sun and moon. Long after Pangu created the world, the goddess Nuwa is out wandering through the beautiful creation. Lonely, she walks by a pond and sees her own reflection. She decides to create beings who look like her to keep her company. She forms them from mud, and soon these new humans are dancing and singing and keeping her great company.
So from Pangu, we learn about balance. Faced with chaos, Pangu brings an order that allows all to flourish. Where there was only tumultuousness, the sky of yang and the earth of yin may now harmonize beautifully, as we can see right here. Yes. Each can now spread and grow in concert with each other, each needing the other to complement what the one has to offer. Pangu gives his life and his body to hold this balance so that each may have what it needs to thrive. We too must be in balance with all that is, not taking more than is needed, not giving more than is wanted, recognizing the value and inherent worth of each part, and then doing our part to hold that balance in its fragility.
Our final story this morning is from the Kabbalah, which is a Jewish mystical tradition. Light is all there is. Light, which we often call God. No space, no time, no matter, only light. When light decides to create, it draws in its breath, and darkness comes into being. Then light creates a vessel and sends it out into the darkness, creating a universe. But nothing can be perfect enough to hold light itself, so the vessel shatters, scattering holy sparks of light across the darkness. The light gathers the shattered and damaged pieces into a new universe, but it too shatters, and the light gathers the pieces. Over and over, the light creates vessels, universes, and over again, they shatter. Finally, after the creation and shattering of 10 universes, the light is able to make a creation where the holiness of the light has been tamed enough that it does not burn up all that is within it. This is our universe.
A friend of mine has a tattoo on her arm that says, "Nothing holy is tame." I don't know that I quite believe that, because I think that all is holy. I think that is what we hear in this story, but we do forget the wildness of holiness and the wildness of all that is. In this tale of the light, we see the holiness of creation. We feel the wildness at the heart of it. Vessels, universes, even humans cannot contain the sheer holiness and perfection of the light unless the light dims enough for being to come into existence. Remember how Denise said that we have the darkness coming into being when the light recedes. Darkness coming first and light being carried in, the darkness holding all. We learn that the light may be hidden, but it is always in everything at all times. In fact, creation is nothing but light, even if we're not always able to recognize it in ourselves, in beings, in people around us, in what we see, and in our fears. All that is part of one holiness. And we can no more escape that than we can escape the earth. When we don't recognize the holiness of the world around us, from the smallest insect to the greatest ocean, we live in blindness to what truly is. And do we not all feel that we have been living in blindness as a species as we face our climate crises? So let's think back over what we've learned. Creativity, enjoyment, relationship, balance, and holiness. These are keys to our relationship with the earth and to all that exists. These stories of beginnings come from many lands, and they help us to understand what we need to do as we face this earth in crisis. From Obatala and the Yoruba in Nigeria, we learn that we need creativity to come up with new ways of being in the world, and with the courage to recognize problems that we have created and commitment to doing what is necessary and what is best for all. From Vinacocha and the Inca of Peru, we see that we must never lose our sense of wonder, our amazement at this beautiful world. If we become stony and emotionless when faced with its beauty, then we put ourselves in peril. From Aksum in Egypt, we learn the value of relationship, and that we have to move, that when we move outside of our relationship with the earth, we are the cause of sorrow and of pain. But that joy is to be found in recognizing, renewing, and revitalizing our relationships with each other and with the world. This sense of connection must run deeper than we have allowed it to do so. From Pangu in China, we learn the need for balance, for holding each in a way that respects all things, and that without balance, chaos will ensue. And from the Jewish Kabbalah, we discover the inherent holiness of all that is, how every single thing is a part of a whole, even greater than we can imagine. We learn that recognizing this holiness, this wholeness, this oneness, that is our task. And we must accept it. We must reimagine ourselves, not just in the midst of this holiness, not just in the midst of the oneness, but as part of it. Not at the height, not at the depth, but as part, with our role to play as well. And so our beginnings give ways to a movement forward. We are able to recognize our indisputable and irrefutable interdependent web of existence. And we are so gratefully a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Cynthia, for bringing us those stories and your reflections on them. I'm going to be thinking about all of that for some time. So this, in my mind, this celebration of the world's creation stories, or a few of them, calls for another musical reflection. So if you will grab this hymnal now and turn to number 27, you will find I Am That Great and Fiery Force, whose lyrics were written in the 12th century by Hildegard of Bingen, who happens to be one of my favorite historical figures, as well as one of the great cosmological thinkers of the European tradition. To add to the fun, we are having a first time in years moment this morning, as Fran will play the piano while we sing. I invite you again to rise in body or spirit, here or at home.
We have done this in our congregation, but it's been a long time. So I'm going to refresh your memories.
Okay, I'm going to repeat that, Fran. Fran is going to play the melody through once for us. Thank you, Fran, and all of you for trying something new. Well, newish. We haven't done that in a while. We are coming to the time to share joys and concerns, but I do want to thank you again, Cynthia, for creating this beautiful service for us. For those of you joining us on YouTube, we are so glad you have joined us, and we thank you for being here. We will see you next week